We have a site about not too far from our community that we go each year, every year in August, and it's our spiritual site that we go to.
That's Addie Jonasson. She's from the Lutsel Dene First Nation in the Northwest Territories.
It's a falls, and we believe that we have a lady that sits there in the falls, and she has been there from time immemorial, and she's there to heal, help, people. I just feel this powerful feeling of being just very peaceful there, very grounded to the land.
This area she's describing is part of the Thaidene Nëné Indigenous Protected Area, just outside her community.
So, we look after that area very well. We don't want anybody there. We didn't want any development, nothing to disturb, that area, because it's a sacred area for us.
This park is one of Canada's few Indigenous protected and conserved areas, called IPCAs. At COP15, which is the biodiversity conference happening in Montreal, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced funding for more Indigenous-led conservation efforts like this one.
Communities have been clear. Safeguarding lands and waters will help build a strong future for generations to come. As a government, our role is to listen and support that vision.
Today, Addie tells us about the Thaidene Nëné Park that she helped establish and how parks like this might serve as an example for other conservation efforts in Canada. I'm Menaka Raman-Wilms, and this is The Decibel from the Globe and Mail. Addie, thank you so much for joining me today.
You're welcome.
Can you tell me about the Thaidene Nëné protected area? What does it look like, and what's the landscape like there?
Well, it's a protected area that my community of Lutsel worked on for many, many years. And the landscape there is beautiful. There's pristine lakes, boreal forests, cliffs, just a beautiful area that is untouched area. So very, very beautiful.
And when you say pristine and untouched, like how pristine and untouched are we talking about here?
Well, I'm talking about, I live in my community of Lutsel, right by the shoreline. The water is, very pristine, that I can go right down to the shore and dip my cup in the water and drink it.
Wow.
And it's, clean, good water. You can go out in a boat in the summertime and stop on any shoreline, and it is just beautiful. It's peaceful, nobody around, and very serene.
Wow.
And the same thing in the wintertime with the skidoo. If you go out skidooing, you can go miles without seeing anybody.
It sounds amazing. It's actually over 26,000 square kilometers, so it's a significant amount of area then as well. What animals live in the area?
We have all sorts of animals we have caribou, moose, muskox, wolves, fox, martens, minks, all sorts of animals there.
And how important is the park, this protected area, to the species, particularly something like the caribou?
It's very important, because they need to have the space to be there. And, if we had I mean, we've have diamond mines in the area, so it's disruptive.
Can you tell me a little bit about those diamond mines that you mentioned? What kind of, I guess, disruption are you talking about?
Well, they have a lot of noise, with all the trucks, the activity that happens in any kind of mine site, with vehicles, trucks. It has to be very disruptive to the animals, especially the caribou.
And why the caribou specifically?
Because it's an animal that we rely on. We have for centuries. Caribou is our main food staple. And my First Nation, Nëné people or Chippewan people are called caribou eaters.
And besides the caribou, how else would you I guess use the land or live in this area?
So we use the land in a lot of ways. Like people go out camping, they go out gathering, both in a summertime, in a wintertime, all seasons, to different areas. So we use the area all the time.
Yeah. What's your connection to the park, Addie?
I was born a few kilometers out of my community, out on the land, in November, in a tent, and have, lived on the land prior to being taken to residential school. So my formative years was out on the land. I've worked alongside my community for many, many years on talking about protecting the area. I was the chief in 2007 when my community signed an agreement with the Minister of Environment to do a feasibility study on the protected area. So I've been involved for quite a while, and I'm currently the chair of the Thaidene board. The board members are from Lutsel, my community, and from the Northwest Territories Métis Nation. And the name means that it's the board that speaks for the land of the ancestors in my Dene language.
Wow. And so why is it so important to you and to the Lutsel Dene First Nation? Why is it so important to protect this area?
It's really important. We worked many, many years to make sure that the land was kept pristine. We want it left the way it is, for our people and for, the water, the animals, every living thing there on the land. We at one time had a request from a uranium company to do some exploration in the area. And that area where they wanted was close to the calving grounds of the caribou. But we said no, that will not happen.
I understand it took 50 years of discussions to create this park, Addie. Can you tell me a little bit about that history?
Initially, apparently that we had, the government of Canada wanting to make a park in our area. And the chief at the time said no. He needed to consult with our community and other people. And then we had more, the same type of interest again from the government of Canada wanting to make a park. And the next chief said, no, we don't want that. And then what happened was we started to have diamond development. The big boom, the diamond mines started to happen, and a lot of talk about that. So then the community were very concerned, about what would happen within our traditional territory. So that's when the work started to, the community started to talk about, protecting the area from development. So that started the process. The elders were very, very concerned, when the diamond mine boom started. So it took many years, and a lot of community meetings in talking about what needed to be done. But we also were very, very concerned that, if we would do that we would make sure that our Section 35 rights were protected, that we could hunt, gather, trap in the area, that those rights would not disappear. We didn't want to have a protected area or a park where we couldn't practice our way of life.
We'll be back in a moment.
So Thaidene Nëné was established as a protected area and national park in 2019. There are 2 other Indigenous protected areas in the Northwest Territories and plans for others elsewhere in Canada. How does the management of this park actually work?
Well, currently, right now, we're in our second year of doing a management plan for Thaidene. So we work very closely with the 2 governments that we signed the agreements with, which is Government of Canada and the Government of the Northwest Territories. So we are working closely with them and using, the laws that they have, the policies they have in place, and making sure that we are working to ensure that the land is protected using our Dene law and their Western laws.
So what are some of the Dene laws that help govern the park then?
Dene law, says respect the land. If you're out on the land, first time out on the land, you make an offering to the land, the water. You make an offering of tobacco for safe travels, for good travels, good weather, but most importantly, to say thank you. Say, we're out in the land, you don't throw things, garbage in the water, you don't leave garbage on the land. When somebody's out there, you see them out there, you make sure that they're going to be safe, like you tell them where not to go. And we share, everything that we have out there on the land.
Yeah. And if you're on the board, then you are making direct decisions about what gets to happen in the park and what doesn't then.
That's correct.
Yeah. Wow. And I understand that there are also guardians that live in the park. Can you tell me about them? What's their role?
We have the Nëné Guardian Program. Nëné means Watchers of the Land. We've had that program for many years before the establishment of Thaidene. And what they do is they go out on the land, they talk with the visitors, they do surveys, they make sure that people are safe if they're traveling within the park, both summer and winter. It's a really good program because they also take the youth out on the land and they make sure that the youth are learning the traditional ways of our culture and identity, and they're taught They're taught a lot of traditional skills.
I know it's only been formally established for a few years, but have you seen any successes in the park already?
There's a lot of good things that that have come out and will continue to come out. But one of the things I just like to talk about is the youth that go out in the land with the Nëné Rangers. They're taught, like I said, all the traditional skills, traditional knowledge, the language, and that's really important because we've always looked after the land, and it's so important that we continue to do it and that we pass those teachings onto our children, our youth, because that's the way it was passed on to us by our elders, our parents, and we need to continue to do that so that it can go down through generations.
Yeah. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has laid out a goal for conservation in Canada. The goal is to have 30% of Canada's land and water protected by 2030. I'm just curious, Addie, what role do you see these Indigenous protected areas playing in like the broader conservation efforts in Canada?
Well, I think it's really important, necessary that people, especially Indigenous people, work, in protecting areas. That's our nature. We've always, been out on the land, Indigenous people connected to the land, and I think, it's important that we do that work.
Before I let you go, I just want to ask you one more question. I'm struck by the way that you've talked about the cooperation that happens here between Canadian governments and the Indigenous community there. And I wonder, do you think arrangements like this with Indigenous communities and Canadian governments working together, do you think this could help, develop healthier relationships between the two?
Well, it would. It would. I think, reconciliation happens in a lot of areas, and this area with the land, that is so, so important, I think. The connection, I guess. I just feel so, connected to the land that it's a really good place to start because we all want to have a healthy land in Canada.
Addie, it's been so wonderful to get the chance to talk to you. Thank you so much for speaking with me.
You're welcome. Thank you. Merci.
That's it for today. I'm Menaka Raman-Wilms. Our producers are Madeline White, Cheryl Sutherland, and Rachel Levy-McLaughlin. David Crosby edits the show. Kasia Mihailovich is our senior producer, and Angela Pacenza is our executive editor. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll talk to you next week.